Atarah, and I am a HR consultant and trainer with Atarah Solutions. Atarah Solutions is a HR consulting and training firm. We offer several services. We offer what we call HR manager outsourced. We offer what we call HR consultancy. And under HR consultancy, one of the things we do is job evaluations. And just to let you know that we have a job evaluations masterclass coming up from the 5th to 7th of November. And I'm hoping that you guys will show up, you'll come in, and you will be with us. Other than that, we also offer recruitment and selection as well as training. So for all your team buildings, we are going towards the end of the year. For all your team buildings, please let us facilitate that for you. For all your trainings that you have planned before the year ends or beginning of next year, please put Atarah Solutions in consideration, and I can promise you we are going to deliver and we're going to serve you like you've never been served before. And other than that, you're tuned in to what we call Get It Right with Atarah Solutions. Get It Right with Atarah Solutions is a webinar series that seeks to demystify issues in employment and entrepreneurship. We do this every Tuesday from 8 p.m. We are on season 7, which is coming to an end in about 4 weeks' time. So we are ending this season sometime in November. And from there, we are taking a break until mid-January. But in the meantime, we are here, we are learning, we are impacting. If you have missed any of our sessions, please go to our YouTube channel, which is Get It Right with Atarah Solutions. And of course, to keep tabs on what's happening in Atarah Solutions, please join our WhatsApp group. We shall be sharing that shortly. So at this point in time, I will request Richard to introduce himself, who is my co-host, and then we kick off the session. Richard?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? In my life, I've always wanted to be a broadcaster. So once in a while, Grace gives me this chance to be here. I am an event MC and a trainer. I train people in public speaking. I train people to speak eloquently. I train people to speak articulately. I also train people to ace those interviews that you apply to. You know, you can have content, but if you are not able to present your ideas properly, then you will miss that chance, even if you are very competent. We are going to know a lot of things from George tonight, and we are glad to have him here. Thank you so much. Over to you, Grace.
Thank you so much, Richard. Yeah, I had tried spotlighting you. I don't know why it didn't work. Anyway, you're there. That's Richard. You can see his face now. And that is how he looks for those of you who do not know us. So yes, if you're joining us for the first time, like I said, this is Get It Right with Atarah Solutions, and it's a webinar series where we seek to demystify issues in employment and entrepreneurship. If you are joining us for the first time, go on YouTube. There's a lot of content there. And tonight we are going to learn the SCARF method, or the SCARF method, or what do we call it? Yeah, we're calling it the SCARF advantage. And I'm sure George is ready to unpack that for us. But in the meantime, please join us for our week, for our job evaluation masterclass, which will be happening from the 5th to 7th of November here in Nairobi. Please create time to join us. So to help us unpack this conversation, we have Mr. George Mutenda Zamera. He's a global voice in leadership transformation. He's an executive coach. He's a speaker. He's a published author. He's a lawyer with 40 plus years of experience across business, boardrooms, coaching, and law. He helps leaders unlock purpose, align with impact, and lead with the brain in mind. He's the CEO of Vula Unlock Consulting, a non-executive board member and president of the Professional Speakers Association of South Africa, in Johannesburg's chapter. His keynote on leading with the brain in mind, the SCARF advantage, which is a compelling exploration of how leaders can foster trust, engagement, and impact by understanding the social drivers of human behavior. So tonight we're going to understand how it is that you can read. One of the things I learned the other day, and if you can look at that YouTube recording where when we hosted Bishop Oginde, and he was talking about self leadership. And one of the things he talked about is being able to lead um, individuals in a way that they actually can thrive. So, and that is what Dr. Oginde taught us. And to help us continue this conversation, we have George here. George is my good friend from South Africa, and we have been talking about him coming on this show for a very long time. And I'm really, really honored that we finally made it happen. And George, please tell us, how do we then um, lead with the brain in mind? Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope I'm clear and audible wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining and supporting us. But before we go further, today is a very special day, and Grace didn't mention it, and I think it's important for us to do so. Today is Grace's birthday, and so wherever you are, maybe you want to put something in the chat and wish her happy birthday. And I'm not too sure whether you can send a present on via chat. But wish Grace happy birthday. We really, really appreciate you, Grace. Congratulations. May you have many, 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 many more years to come. Happy birthday.
Thank you, George. Thank you. I even forgot it was my birthday. Thank you.
There you go. Right. Just to add on to a little bit to what Grace said about me as an executive and leadership coach, my first certification in coaching was with the Neuro Leadership Institute, and the certification is brain-based coaching. And within it, the is the SCAF model, which was created by Dr. David Rock. I have a passion for it, and I thought I would share that because it forms one of the tools for leaders who really do very, very well because they understand self and they understand the team that they work with. So my background is I did 10 years of law. I practiced, started off as an assistant, ended up as a partner. I left there and I joined the corporate world for 20 plus years, occupying various positions, senior positions, executive directorship, non-executive director, board chair, committee member. And the reason I mention this is that I've been exposed to a lot of human behavior within corporates, within businesses, and understood certain aspects even before I came across this. I think it's a groundbreaking model, which you would agree with me has been widely used by many. So, as the president of the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa, Johannesburg chapter, one of the things that we do is to encourage, particularly young speakers, to learn the ability not only to communicate and speak, but to lead. And one of the things that we do is to teach them on this. So, what is the SCAF model? So the brain has two functional states. And you may wonder, why is it sometimes when an individual gets an email that is kind of vague, it triggers them, or in what we call an unaware state? And why is it that when somebody gets a compliment in front of teammates, you can see their energy goes up, they perform better? And why is it that when there is change in an organization, some people resist the change? Well, in the next 30 minutes, we're going to be looking at what causes this and how to utilize the SCAF model to create trust, to grow opportunities for your members, and to raise the level of productivity of those whom you lead. So, as I was saying, the brain has two functional states. The first one is what we call the toward reward state. This is the one that is responsible for joy, for curiosity, for happiness. And it creates in the brain the ability to be creative, to see opportunities, to see options, to resolve problems, to collaborate. This is what happens with the brain. So I'm going to share a slide and walk you through that. And tell me, Grace, if you can see the slide. Are you seeing the slides
Yes,
there? All
yes, I
right.
confirm we can see it.
Okay. All right. So now we need to move it. Huh? So why do people react the way they do? I asked the question. And those two functional states that create a toward state and a threat state. Because the threat state kills the ability to collaborate, kills the ability to resolve issues, kills the ability to innovate. And vice versa, the reward state enhances the ability to be innovative, to be creative. And that's what, as a manager, you are seeking to do. You're seeking to ensure that your team continues to be in a reward state at all times. But this is a tool that's based in neuroscience. And as I said, my first coaching certification was with the Brain-Based Neuro Leadership Institute. And when this was introduced, it really was groundbreaking, as I said. But here's a surprise. In the brain, social threat and reward are treated the same way as physical threat and reward. And I want you to take note of that. The brain doesn't differentiate between the social threat and the physical threat. And I remember hearing people say, oh, get over it when somebody is emotional in the workplace. Now, you wouldn't say get over it to someone who shows up with a broken arm. But that is how the brain sees it. It's a threat, it's painful for it, whether it's social or physical. And therefore, as you lead teams, you keep this top of mind, and the question continues to be how do I ensure that those I lead remain and stay in a forward state? So, and what is that now it's working. What then is the SCAF model? S stands for status, and C for certainty, A for autonomy, R for relatedness, and F for fairness. So what does that mean? So with status is as you walk into a room, with a group of people, as you get into a team, your brain is already measuring where you stand in the hierarchy. Are you the top dog? Are you middle? Are you lowest? And of course, if you're the dog there, you are in a toward state. You're the creative one. And the guy who's last in there is really the one who's most likely to be triggered because he is looking at his status. So, in other words, it is how important are you in this setup? So, your brain does that automatically. You walk in a room, you're beginning to check out where you stand. So status is very important as it leads to how we then react and treat each other as a team. We will do an exercise down the road as we go into this program around status and how do you predict, how do you deal with that to help your teams stay in the game with you. The next one is certainty. Certainty is the brain is a outcome prediction machine, for want of a better word. It wants certainty. It wants to be able to see and predict the future. And therefore, when there is uncertainty in the workplace, the brain is in a position of stress. The individuals, because they don't see an outcome, they don't see the future clearly, they are uncertain, and that creates the stress and anxiety. So your role as a team leader, as a leader, is to understand that you need now to create certainty to ensure that the emotions of your team members stay in check. So the model was created and suggests that these domains can represent either a threat or a reward in our brain, and then impacting how we then engage. So A is for autonomy, and autonomy is, please don't micromanage me. that's the easiest way to explain autonomy. In the workplace, if your boss gives you a job to do, you don't want him checking up in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. How are you? Where are you? What's going on? Because when you feel that, you lose your confidence. And at the end of the day, when you lose your confidence, you are in a away threat, in a away state, and your emotions clearly will preclude you from being a happy team performer. R stands for relatedness. And it's almost like the internet. It's a Facebook kind of thing. People want to relate. They want to be friends with colleagues. So if you are in a team, you want to feel I'm part of this group. So it's in group. If I feel that I am not part of the team, I'm out group, right? And if I don't feel that I'm part of the team, and therefore my emotion is away, my state is away because I feel threatened. Relatedness takes into account the trust, the engagement, the camaraderie that you create as team. And so where an individual, for one reason or another, does not feel that they are part of the group, you as a leader then, using your cues, are able to create a toward state. How do you embrace them to come in as part of the team? And the last one there is fairness. It's justice, in short. Everybody wants fairness. But in the workplace, the important word for me there is a perception of equity, a perception of fairness. Because you all know that perception is reality. How do I perceive the treatment that I am getting? And what does the leader need to do to ensure that fairness is the outcome for all involved? Now, the other day I was talking about this, and somebody asked me the question that, oh, okay, so does that mean treating everyone equally? That's not the point. Fairness is doing what is fair in the environment that you're in. You don't have to be equal, you just have to be fair. And so don't equate fairness with equality, because those two don't go together. Okay, so that is the model. So how do we work with it in the workplace? So let's talk status as a start. We've said it is to do with importance. a superior performer? How do I rank in this group? How then do we trigger negative emotions around this? Is when we, in our feedback, we don't take into regard the importance of the individual. Now, importance doesn't mean the CEO only. What it means is that I am part of the team. I am a key cog in this team. And therefore, as you treat and relate with me, you treat me in with important mind. You record my effort, my contribution. Regarding certainty, as I said, it's about predictability. I want to know the outcomes. Way back when I was a junior executive, our business went through a restructuring, a major restructuring, which impacted many, many employees. And one of my peers walked into the office and says, "Hey, George, do you understand what's going on here?" Have more information than him, but I'd had the opportunity of talking to the CEO who had kind of indicated where this was going. But I couldn't use that because it was something that had been given me in confidence. But I then said to we need to go obviously back to HR and get clarity in terms of the impact. Ultimately, that was done. There was statements were issued, etc. But the anxiety that he showed at that given time is what you want to avoid in the situations of change. Serious anxiety, and in some people, as you know, it can lead to illnesses and all like that. So what do? Share timelines, share necessary information that you have, put it out there so that people make their decisions based on what you have put out. Don't hold back anything. Share everything as much as you can. You're creating certainty. Autonomy is around control. You have given me a job. Let me do the job. I'm a keen sport. Confess my team because it's doing very badly, my soccer team. But when a club hires a manager, they are hiring an employee. And if management, if the owners of the club now want to tell the coach, the manager, how to run, which players to choose, well, he's going to leave tomorrow. Why? Because he wants control. Because he's answerable at the end of the day to the results. So he must feel that he's got choices. He's allowed to implement whatever style he wishes to do because autonomy goes hand in hand with his ability to be creative, his ability to see options, to see opportunities. That comes when he feels that he has the autonomy and control of the environment that he is working in. Relatedness. Again, as I say, uh, for me, I'm very big on connections and relatedness because that's where you build the foundation of a strong team. You are creating connection because when individuals feel isolated within teams, they lose trust, they lose confidence. And therefore, as a leader, what you're looking for is to build trust because that basis creates then them the opportunity for them to really fly. Relatedness. Tomorrow, we're doing a workshop with a team. And the one thing that we will emphasize when we're doing workshops with teams is that aspect about connecting. Do you actually know who your team member is? And so what I recommend all the time is you going into meetings. If I'm having a performance meeting with a colleague, don't go straight into the detail and the charts and whatever. You know who you're talking to. Build trust. Hey, Mr. Jones, I hear you've got 4 children. Yeah, tell me about. He'll tell you, yeah, the first one is at university. Well, the third one, this is what's happening. Get to talk to a person. They are not machines. Create that relationship with individual. Because when you do that, the more you do that, the more you create connection, the more you create the glue that holds teams together. So that I'm really big on that one. Fairness, that is justice, as I say. In every team, there will be laggards and there will be top performers. And naturally, as leaders, you're trying to gravitate to those guys who do well, who are quick on the take, etc. That's what you will do. But hey, remember, even the laggard is part of the family for as long as he's still within the team. So no favoritism in terms of treatment. Be transparent. Why are we doing what we are doing? What's the reason? Everybody wants to know the why. If X is getting 3 times as much as I'm doing, if I know why, I make a call as to whether I hang around or not. But it mustn't be a secret. That's fairness. In fact, I tell you a little story. I have grandsons, right? So one day we're having breakfast outside and on the veranda, and our helper brings food, brings plates, and puts the plates in front of 4 people. We were 4 people outside. And the younger one, the little one, the plate comes and it doesn't have a sausage in there. And the mate is going back and to pick some more stuff to bring in, including extra sausage for him. But he didn't wait for that. He doesn't see a sausage and he's up. It's not fair. And the man is screaming. But I'm sure you guys have had that experience with little one. But you see, I mentioned that because fairness is not something that uh, you really need to go to school about. You can sense when there is no fairness in the room. And that's what we encourage. Be transparent, be open, answer the questions. And therefore, as a manager, as a leader, yes, it's a bit of an irritation having to be transparent and open at all times. But once you get that into your system and it becomes you, then I tell you will create very, very good teams. Right, I've been going on and on about the SCAF model, but let me take a quick detour and come back and just say when we come back, we are going to do one example and see how we resolve that one. I'll put it there as an exercise and see how we go. But let's take a little bit of a detour. So the SCAF model is part of a larger program that we share with organizations. It's called Living with Confidence, from insight to impact. And within that are many elements that help develop self-awareness, goal clarity, and lead to incremental growth. And these are the engines of team performance and business success. Leading with confidence is a powerful 2-day experience, and it's designed to elevate how you lead, connect, and grow. Because we see confidence not just as a trait, but as a practice. How do you do it day in, day out? Day in, day out. And what's within confidence? There are a number of components in there. We talk about paradigms. What are they? Paradigms are your belief systems, how the lens through which you see the world, and how does that influence your leadership style? We talk about fixed mindset, How does that affect it? We look at biases and how they lead to the decisions, some of them that you make without actually consciously thinking through those biases. And the whole aim is to create a manager who's self-aware, who understands self, leads self, and is able to impact. So I thought I would share that because when I spoke to Grace, I thought, yeah, okay, let's create a special for you guys for this particular week. So if you can, if you go to this QR code, you click on it, you are going to our website. And if you send your inquiry before Friday, we will give you a very, very special rate on this 2-day program, which we really, really think is very, very good and has been particularly useful in getting managers to be rounded and understanding who they are over and above these tools that we equip you with the SCAF model. All right, as I say, I would take a quick detour there, but let's get back to what we are doing. Here's the exercise that I would want you to. And Grace, I'm going to ask you to help me out on time here. So here is a scenario. You as a team leader, you need to give tough feedback to a high performer. Tough feedback to a high performer. Which domain might be threatened? Which domain might be threatened? Is it status? Is it certainty? Is it autonomy, relatedness, fairness? Which domain do you think will be threatened? Can we have throw your answers there in the chat? Let's give about a minute. I'm sure in a minute everyone would have figured it out what their preference is. Shall we do that? Grace,
Absolutely.
are you timing me there, Grace? Because
Yes, yes. You said it's
yeah,
been a minute, but the conversation that the team is already sharing on the chat. We have Molin, who says status. Carol Manjo says status as well. Irene Maina says status. Lilian Getonga says status. Pamela Onyango says status. Martha Mutugi says status. Keep them coming, keep them coming, keep them coming. Dorothy says status. Everybody is going for status, including Stephen Joroge, Zachary Gishuru,
okay.
Catherine Jebet. All of them are on the status.
My goodness me, you have a group of very, very bright students there, Grace. Well done. Is the 1 minute up? I don't want to rob somebody of the opportunity to contribute if the one
The one
minute is
minute
not
is up, but there are
is
only
up.
three.
All right.
Yeah, no, just 1 minute. There's a conflicting answer, which is cannot you says relatedness, but Beatrice and Renette are all talking about status.
All right. Actually, I would be keen to. So here's the second part of this exercise. The first one is so someone who answered status. I would like to hear if you could unmute yourself and here's the question I'm going to be asking. How would you frame that conversation? You are giving him tough feedback to a high performer. How would you frame that conversation? Maybe even the first few sentences that you would use, how would you frame it? And then that's number one. Number two, to the person who said relatedness, because it's the way they see it. Why relatedness? Why would you pick relatedness? So there'll be two people mute, the one who's talking on status and the one who's talking on relatedness. So who's brave to go out there?
Maybe you can lift your hand and then we can unmute you. Normally, they are not able to unmute themselves based on
Oh,
the
okay.
8 p.m.
All right.
and people are cooking or traveling home.
Okay. All right. Maybe
Yeah,
put your hand up and Grace will unmute you.
for those who are able to speak as well.
I see Kinoti
Yeah,
and
just
somebody.
on that. 1 minute, I will be able to unmute, allow to talk. Yes, you cannot. You can go ahead.
All right. One of the deficiencies that I've experienced over the years is people do not know how to relate at workplace and from home. They do not know how to keep home, work. And so there's a mixture of the two,
Right.
which at times bring conflict to the work environment. However, if we could be able to develop a way that home is an interface of work, or work is an interface of home, then we can have a complete person. Thank you.
Okay. I thought there was another hand, Grace.
Yes, Pamela, I already allowed her to speak. Pamela? Her hand is down. She has changed her mind.
Oh, okay. Anyone
Yeah.
who would okay, who would want to talk about? Okay, Pamela is back. All right, let's hear Pamela.
Pamela, you may need to unmute yourself. There you go. Pamela Onyango? There's probably trouble on her end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah,
But
I would have wanted to hear.
Amos is also talking about fairness, but status really cries out loud.
Yes, okay. All right.
Mm.
So then I would have wanted to hear about the reframing actually, to say how would you frame that in actual conversation, in reality, that status is affected. How would you go about it? So perhaps maybe let me jump in there on that. Typically, where you're dealing with high performers, um, the old style type of manager would. I see Moline has got her hand up. Maybe before I even jump in, Moline, would you want to say something?
Who again? Okay. Marlene, you can unmute.
Good evening.
To you.
Good evening.
I think this is how I would handle it. First, I will congratulate the high achiever on their achievements, on their previous achievements.
Right.
And then
Right.
that's when I'll now go on to explain what has happened. And then from there, I will encourage them that that is just a setback, which they can be able to work on and improve on their performance.
Mm, mm. Well done. Well done, Moline. Excellent. Really, truly excellent. That is it. Because what is he doing there by encouraging them, by pointing out the good they have done? You are creating a toward state. You are removing threat in it. And therefore, by the time you get round to whatever issue you want to address, you have created an open mind that's willing to hear you. And and this is why actually, if as a leader you have created that connection via relatedness, remember finding out how they're doing, you have already created trust. And therefore, by the time you need to have tough conversations, they see you as genuine, as opposed to the old school type of leader who wouldn't see the good you do, but would shout and scream whenever you did something wrong. But the world has moved on, and now we understand the brain, how it works, and how we should, the things that we should, the tools that we should use to create toward states that help create a higher level of productivity at the workplace. Well done, and thank you very much for that. Okay, so am I stuck now here? Because I want to go to the next slide, Grace. There we go. So why does SCUF matter? Why does it matter? Well, first of all, it drives engagement and trust. And you've heard me use the word trust, 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 trust a number of times, because that's the glue that any team that's successful has managed to create. Drives engagement and trust. And it reduces resistance to change. In the example I gave you about my colleague who came back, the full story was that he was so unhappy that he was resisting, etc. And the bottom line was it wasn't so much the fact that he is being let go, but what was more important was the manner. And that's what people complain about. So you reduce resistance by understanding how the brain reacts using the SCUF model, being toward and away. And it enhances feedback and collaboration. And the biggest thing in any team is collaboration. I've been part of teams for many, many years. And the strength that I have seen has always been when you collaborate, when you are a part of something bigger than you and you contribute to the sum total. That's when people are at their best. So why it also matters is that you can use it. Dr. David Rock also then created the PRE model. And why is that important? It's important because we can notice these experiences at several points of the journey. At several points, as we engage, we can see the triggers, we can see the emotions triggered by certain behaviors that we do. So before an event, we've just talked about the scenario we painted about the high achiever. The leader now understands, and Moline got it right. I'm going to get this guy in. I want him to be in a toward state. And what do? This is my script. And my script says start with acknowledgement. So now, because you have the SCUF model as a tool, you can predict outcomes. You can predict behaviors from team members. So that's one. The second one is that even during an event, you can regulate emotions because now you can see triggers and you are able to regulate. Ooh, we are going there. I can see the individual is getting triggered. How then do I move the conversation in such a way that I get to a place where they are receptive, they are in a toward state? So it's understanding that. And the situations are going to vary. You need to be up on your feet all the time. But the key is you have that as a tool. You are much more advanced than the guy who has got no idea and says, why is this person behaving like this? I thought I've given him a raise. But it's not just about the raise. It's have I triggered something in them? And then after the event, you can explain why certain things happened, why certain emotions came out. Yes, perhaps you overlooked something, you didn't quite prepare, and things happened, but you are able to explain it so that you create a precedent going forward to know, hey, okay, we got it wrong this time, but we can explain it and are better able then to deal with it in the future. Let me put one stop here and ask, is there anyone who's got a question before I proceed? You can throw them in the chat. Okay, so what practical tools then for managers? Now we're talking about SCAF on the ground. Well, we talked about recognizing contributions publicly. Status. And the converse is if you scream at a subordinate amongst the whole team, now that's anxiety at its highest. And you are not recognizing their status, their contribution. And you don't have to be publicly. It can be one-on-one. And I give an example for myself. Many years ago, I got a promotion. And my boss could easily have just sent an email and say, hey, listen, this is the story. These are the implications. But you know what he did? He actually came to my office before any email was sent out. Sat down in front of me and then explained the whole thing. And when he walked up, man, I was walking on water then, you know. And that is how you use the SCAF model. Because then what have you done? You have recognized effort, but not just recognized effort. You've gone one step further by, if you go down, a bit of relatedness in there, because now you're getting in front of somebody and talking. So that was a good example for me of status. What other practical tool can we share? Certainty. I mentioned about communicating timelines. Even if you're uncertain about it, communicate the timelines and say, this is the best I can do. According to the information I have, this is what I think will be the way. If eventually, actually, the numbers don't quite end up the way you said it, that's all right. But you have given a timeline and you have dampened the excitement, the anxiety within the individual. And in terms of autonomy, I gave you the example of the young girl who I coached. And her gripe wasn't so much that the boss would look at her work and judge, but it was more to say, I have done the work, but you're micromanaging me. So you want to offer choices on how do you work so that the individual feels a sense of I am in control of the role that I have been given. Yes, I understand that there's a boss above me, but on this particular role, I have been given the task and I'm going to do it. So allow that rope. Give the rope. Don't shackle subordinates. Relatedness, I could have a whole hour on relatedness alone. But always, the best is to start meetings with personal check-ins. Hey, how are you doing? So that the individual is different from the machine in the factory, which is programmed to do certain things. This individual has family, he's a leader in his own right. So do a check-in. And can I share a story around that? I tend to have many stories. Let me share a story around this, which
Mm.
struck a chord for me. We had a driver, the gentleman who was a driver to the CEO, and for many years, uh, he was a respectful old gentleman, and he did his work well. What we, unbeknown to all of us, this gentleman was the leader of a church of thousands of congregants. And so, in his world, he was the top dog. He was that person who gave advice, who led teams, who did this. But in the workplace, he was a driver. But when you don't speak to people, when you don't connect with people, that little bit miss. And so you you don't recognize his importance, his status in dealing with them. And so for me, when I realized that, but what struck me more importantly was the way he humbled himself in his role in corporate and left. But because you knew you had connected, we were able then to give him the respect and dignity that he deserves. So checking in with individuals is a huge and important tool. And then fairness. Always explain the reasons behind decisions. That's a tool for you. And it doesn't have to be a reason that individuals are going to like, because all too often managers won't give the reason because, oh, they would like it. But that's not the point. You're a manager. Whatever the reason is, you give it. Do the best you can to ensure that it comes across as empathetic as possible. But it is what it is. It is the reason that you must give. Don't hide it, because when it comes out, the individual is going to think, oh, so why didn't my boss tell me about this? You know? So those are tools that you can take away and use. There'll be many, many, many other tools for this. So what's my call to action as we come to a close? It is really, when you're leading with the brain in mind, always reflect before every interaction. The example we had just now about the high performer, think through it before you engage. Let's reflect. How am I going to handle this? This is a tool now that's in your pocket. You can use it. So reflect. And then now you understand that the brain shies away from threats. And when a threat is perceived, it then constricts imagination. They are no longer creative. They are not open to collaboration. It's difficult for them to solve problems. Now you know that. But you also know that when people are in a toward state, they are creative, they're joyful, they want to be productive, they want to add value to the organization. And so where do you want to put them? You want to put them in this corner where everything is happening. So now you're reframing threats into rewards, ensuring that, yes, sure, it is a threat, but how do I minimize its impact so that I get the best out of the individual? And of course, at the end of the day, what is our role as leaders? We build trust, clarity, and connection. And clarity comes obviously from understanding, where are you now? Where are you going? And what steps are you taking to get to where you want to get to? Which is a subject we can talk about another day. But those are my thoughts around the SCAF model. I did mention earlier on that as an author, I published a book, and there's a QR code on this one. That is the book, and it focuses on goals and goal setting. And it says there, mastering the art of goal setting to lead a fulfilled life. And yes, you can see the word God there because it does have references to biblical references that speak to goal setting for individuals and teams. So thank you very, very much. I'm going to stop my share and take any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Coach George. Let me call you that. Indeed, this was a full leadership coaching session. I can attest to that. And yes, we can do the claps, we can give the hearts, we can do the celebratory, all of them. Let's appreciate George for that wonderful presentation and really quite learning. I was just thinking about this CAF model. And I was like, probably, George, maybe in your opinion, do you think this is why we have people getting stuck in the same job over and over again? They know that they have outgrown the organization, but because of that fear of unknown, so to speak, or somebody was telling me the other day, when you go to a new job, you have to prove yourself again for even people to start trusting you, for people to give you that autonomy, and that is sometimes too much work. Is it sort of related to this?
Suppose one, if you're coming from an environment where you have a leader who is very mindful and uses a tool like this, many people will be hesitant to jump ship and go and experiment with a different leader. That's a given. But for you as the individual, if you're ambitious, I would say what holds people back a lot more are two things for me. One, the level of self-awareness. There's a statement that we make, and that is, you can't outperform your self-image. If you
Mm,
don't think, if you don't think you measure up, even if a promotion comes along, you're bound to be saying, maybe, because you don't quite believe in who you are. And I
mm,
talked about our program, Leading with Confidence. In there, we talk about fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And the growth mindset says, I may not know this today, but with application, I will know it. So the individual with a growth mindset will jump ship and go and give it a go. The individual with a fixed mindset will do exactly what you said. They will stay in one place because out there it's dangerous.
mm.
That's yeah.
Okay. I've also seen situations where a supervisor is promoted and they say, I'm not up to it, or I just don't want the stress that comes with that. I'm thinking it's the same. But I'm also over here thinking, what if you're in a very politically, uh, for lack of a better word, sort of toxic environment? How can you maneuver this curve? Because sometimes, especially when you're working in safe public sector, the thing about autonomy may not necessarily be there. How do you navigate in such a sector?
Yeah, I'm afraid, yeah, that's a bit more challenging, because I think autonomy for me really is more the individual saying, "Give me the opportunity to prove myself. If I don't do it well, then you can fire me or change me," and that's autonomy. But when you are in a situation where performance doesn't actually count, you go up not so much because of what you know or do, but because of who you know, uh, then yeah, certainly autonomy there has no place because irrespective of what you do, if you're not connected, as it were, you're going nowhere. So yeah, in that situation, uh, application of SCAF becomes fairly challenging, for want of a better word.
Mm.
Thank you very much, Stanley.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know whether we have any other question, but Richard, you can come in.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, George. I have looked at this model and I've tried to align them to several HR functions. For example,
Right.
the concept or the dimension of fairness. You can imagine where a situation where performance management is not well done, there are no policies for performance management. People do not know what type of rating. For example, somebody is using performance management as a punishment. So that will really destabilize an environment of high performance individuals. And also a status, is it status or what is the other one? The other one that I've seen, certainty, whereby the leaders are making contradictory decisions. So that environment will not be able to promote high performance individuals. That's what I've seen, that this curve method, if you use it, and we should actually as professionals, so that we can be able to promote high performance environments.
Yeah, around performance management, that's actually very true, because you can get errant leaders who use that process to punish as opposed to objectively assess and reward where necessary. And therefore, in that kind of situation, where if there is no proper explanation, is so why? I remember when we had performance management in the last company I worked for. The one lady took the boss on and said, "No, but explain why is it this number as opposed to that number?" And in situations like this, if you haven't thought it through as a boss, then the perception of unfairness comes in. Maybe you may be too lazy to think it through, and you think, if I can just give this number, it will work. And when you're challenged, because you haven't thought it through, now there's a perception of, maybe there's something here. Yeah, I think it's important to allow questions in any environment. Although they say if it is in an African home, the child can't ask questions. But that's a discussion for another day.
That's true. That's very, very true. Richard?
I think
I'm done, Grace. Thank you so much. It has rejuvenated me. This model, it's quite easy to remember and apply in a work environment. And we are talking in professional environments, of course. We are not talking about mediocre and substandard environments. We're talking about where the right things are done well.
Yeah, that's true. And Paul, there's somebody who is asking for the WhatsApp group to join. Maybe you need to figure out that 4.0. George, there's Mary who says, what was the most pressing challenges you faced when leading with the brain in mind during your career before discovering the power of the SCAF model, and how did you deal with it?
Well, yeah, I think for me, I think the very reason why relatedness speaks to me strongly is, I think in my younger days, there was a time when I really was just work, and didn't really take that extra step to understand who the person is. And when you don't do that, then there is certain nuances that you miss. But when you know individuals as he's a dad, she's a mom with 4 kids, and what have you, they're going through, you're better able to connect and help them into a toward state. So yeah, the biggest challenge I had was that. And I'm so glad, because when I coach, the biggest thing that I say to my clients, most of them are senior executive, general managers, etc. Most of the things that I say to them is create the opportunity for connection, whether it's a coffee with somebody or join them at the table when we're having lunch in the canteen, etc. Because a lot of your work happens because you have had a cup of coffee with somebody. Not so much just work, 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 work. So yes, for me, that was I didn't quite have that, and now I have a lot of it. So I would recommend to anyone who is leading a team that create that opportunity to connect and really know more people just beyond them as machines that come to your workplace.
Yeah, yeah. People are people and they need to bring their whole selves to work. That is what we say
That's
in
right.
emotional intelligence. So you
There
can't
you
leave
go.
a part of you at home. You come fully, the whole of you. All right. So yes, I can see there's a lot of thank you notes and insightfulness from my friend Marston Miner and Thiane K, who says thank you very much. I think this is amazing, and we will share the recording. We normally don't share the notes, but we will share the recording for your reference in regards to also the speaker's application. But I think that was very, very insightful and definitely something worth taking home. And now we will look like we're very domed when we are discussing leadership with others. So thank you very much. And I want to invite you, George, to give us your parting shot.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very, very much. I really, for me, it's for all of us, not just as leaders in the workplace, because this is something that you can use in your home. Uh, to take time to reflect. We don't do that enough as individuals. Give yourself 30 minutes just to sit quietly on your own and reflect on things and how you respond to people, etc. So I think the world is relationships. If you do relationships well, you'll do very, very well in life. And so, what I would encourage is focus on that, be the best relatedness person you can be, and yeah, the rewards will come. And do it genuinely, of course. Don't have coffee and pretend you're enjoying it, because people can sense it. Right? They can sense that you're not genuine, and
Mm.
when they sense that, it actually it makes it worse. So do it genuinely. Show interest. Be curious about people, and yeah, that's what I would say. I highly emphasize that relatedness thing, because at the end of the day, we succeed or fall because of how we relate with people.
Absolutely. And you said your course is also online? Is it virtual? Is it a virtual conversation?
At the moment, it's one-on-one because of the exercises. We do a lot of exercises with the individuals, and usually we have maximum 15 people in a room, because what it does is that you get people to actually look deep inside themselves and discover that's something that brings the best in them. So
All
we're
right.
thinking of on that.
Okay. All right. That's absolutely fine and understood. And you guys, I hope that you will take your time to sign up so that you can become better leaders. And if you're leading organizations, you can always have Mr. George come in and deliver this for your teams. And then you can create better leaders, because we say if you're a leader, one of the biggest responsibility you have is to being able to create other leaders. So if you're able to create your to change yourself in leadership and create more leaders, then we can say that you're winning as a leader. So thank you very much. And I have really enjoyed that. It was really a moment of reflection for me as well. And I've picked some nuggets that I need to really go and probably work on. We keep saying that we are evolving and we can always do better every day. You cannot say that you cannot change. All of us are evolving creatures, and you can actually evolve into a better version of you. So thank you very much, your team, for being here. Thank you for your time. And I hope that you have picked a thing or two. Please sign up for George's classes. as well as join us for the job evaluation masterclass that's happening from the 5th to 7th of November here in Nairobi. We shall have a 3-day immersive session on job evaluation. And of course, reach out. You can connect with George on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And you can even book your coaching, one-on-one coaching session that I believe he can do online for the Kenyans who are telling me, oh my God, Grace, flying to South Africa is a lot of work. He does virtual sessions on one-on-one, and he's an amazing coach. I can tell you that for a fact. So you guys are in for a treat. Please contact George, connect with him. George, maybe you can put in your LinkedIn page on the chat, and we can move from there. So thank you very much, our audience, for being here. Please follow us on Instagram, Atarah Solutions. Join our Facebook page, Atarah Solutions, or rather like our Facebook page, Atarah Solutions, and connect with us on LinkedIn, Atarah Solutions, as well as connect with us at an individual level at CHRP Grace Nzula or George Mutende Zemera on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And he can type that name or share the link there.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a lovely night. Thank you, people. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. Asante sana. See you next Tuesday for another conversation around what are we doing? Certifications that is directly for HR professionals. So good night.